There's a new premium travel card coming, and it already sounds S tier. Also, Alaska is doing a lot of expansion, and it might get interesting for United and Delta. We're going to do a deep dive on how it might impact you for cards and also travel. Big favor before we dive in though is to give this a thumbs up to help with the algorithm. If you know someone that might benefit, then share this with them. Starting with the bear in the room, we have the new premium Alaska card. There's a lot of things to be happy about here. Starting off, the annual fee is going to be $395. This puts it in line with the Capital One Venture X, which is pretty smart. With the new Alaska card, you're only getting passes. For context, the Alaska Normal Lounge membership is $650 per year, and that's what you're effectively getting with those other 3 cards. One benefit of Alaska Lounges is that it is a bit harder to get in, so I guess this is keeping with that trend. For the most part, you're either paying $60 a pop or buying a membership, and people at airports like San Francisco SFO are happy to do it. To me, this is a way for them to boost card revenue, but doing it on the card side with the annual fees and interchange fees. In the past, they were trying to augment it with Priority Pass, but it was kind of a lose-lose, and they've been pretty much done with that for now. You also do get in-flight Wi-Fi passes, but I feel like those are less quantifiable unless you fly a ton and you actively use them. The card is also going to help you towards elite status, and it's going to help you get there faster. I'm guessing probably a head start of sorts, and also spending your way towards status, so earning those EQMs. One that I'm super excited for, and where I think the value will come from for a lot of people here, is going to be the Global Companion Award Certificate. So you're going to get one for having the card, and this is every year, and you're going to get another one for completing a spend target. This can be super interesting depending on how it's implemented and how it works. One of the reasons is because it's valid for travel in Alaska, but also their partner airlines. It's going to be for any class of service, whether economy, business, or first. There is a cap on value, but you can top up with miles. Given the fact that it's any class of travel, and also the fact that there might be a cap, I'm guessing it's going to be $75K. Main reason being that this is in range for a lot of availability for their partners for business class. So for example, here at 75K miles for Japan Airlines, and you'd have a buy one get one. That means that the certificate is worth 75K miles. At the same time, the reason they do have a cap is because they do have some partners that they probably don't want to get burnt by, like Starlux. So Starlux operates off demand more than anything last minuteness, and it could run you 300K miles for one person for business. In the case of the Alaska card and Alaska as a whole, I think they can justify matching 75K, matching 300 would be way too much. Also, in case you're curious, Starlux can be found for 75K, but you need to find their low fare availability. So for example, it's available on Tuesday as well as this Wednesday, and you can do it, so in the next 2-3 days. As of filming, Thursday though is 175K, so you'd want to probably book last minute and wait for those openings. In the past, we've been happy to buy Alaska miles during their 60% promos, and it's usually 160K miles total for $2,750. Doing the math there, we're paying 1.7 cents per mile. So for example, if the certificate is worth 75K miles, then based off the price that we've been happy to pay, that means that we're deriving $1,275 from that certificate. Put another way, would you pay $1,200 for a good business class across the ocean? Even if the certificate's only worth 50,000 miles, then based off the prior prices we've paid, that's still $850 in value. We'd have to top off in order to book business, but it still makes sense. The break-even point, if you ignore all the other benefits based off the valuation, would be 24,000 miles as a cap. I doubt that it'd be that low given breakage and also the fact that there are a lot of domestic travelers that don't go that far. As much as we like going to Asia and places like Japan and Taiwan, a lot of people can't travel for that long, or they're just not interested, which is fine. I'm guessing 75K, but let me know what you think down below, and maybe that's wishful thinking. You might be thinking that Delta does have something that sounds similar, but it works a lot different in practice. Delta Reserve Business, Delta Platinum, and Delta Platinum Business all receive one companion certificate for each card renewal. The main issue is that the Delta Platinum one pretty much only works for main cabin, and then the Delta Reserve works for first as well, but not Delta One or Delta One suites. It's also limited to the US, Mexico, Caribbean, and Central America. So think domestic first class rather than lie flat seats to Europe for 10 to 14 hours. On the note of awards and back to Alaska, this card is going to waive award fees. So those $12.50 partner award bookings, but sadly not fuel surcharges. Even if you're more of a domestic traveler, there's still benefits. One big one that's pretty quantifiable and useful is same-day confirmed fee waivers. So this is when you do a same-day change, whether you changed an earlier flight or later flight, given something happening during the day. This is perfect for Vegas and other more variable travel. If their trip's going well, then they're going to try to stay a bit later. If it's going poorly, then they're leaving earlier in the morning. Oftentimes, this is a free benefit of elite status, but for everyone else, it would normally run you upwards of $50. The last major benefit, and one pretty crazy one, is the multipliers. So you're going to get 3x miles on dining purchases, but also all eligible foreign purchases. This can be in a foreign currency or in USD, and it just has to be processed outside of the US. Obviously, all eligible can be a problem, but it still sounds pretty broken. Maybe it's because we travel a ton, but I can also imagine other people that work remotely, or maybe split time between countries, like snowbirds, getting a ton of value. Also just Canadians as a whole, because a lot of them that are into points and miles will also get US credit cards. It's going to get super interesting for dropshippers and people that do business abroad, and they might be now getting a ton of points. Also, if you are into luxury shopping, then I could see this being a pretty big win. For example, if you're buying a new watch in Europe, it oftentimes is cheaper due to the VAT refunds, and same thing for a lot of purse brands, where for whatever reason, it's about 10 to 15% or maybe 20% cheaper. Your mileage may vary, but if your player 2 is hunting for a purse, then Paris tends to be the move. Yeah, imagine if you're buying a new watch, you're not getting 3x back on that in the US, so you might as well buy it abroad, especially if the exchange rate is good and prices are better. The only other card that's similar would be the Robinhood Gold card, and I still question the long-term viability there. Also, the fact that this card earns miles, which do have more upside and value. Using the 1.7 cents per mile that we paid and is considered the good price, 3x times that would be 5.1% value. But of course, your mileage may vary depending on how you want to use those miles, so it might be higher or lower. Another use case is if work sends you abroad for a year, or let's say you decide to do business school and you decide to do INSEAD. So for example, I know some people that are going to France or Singapore for that program. Main takeaway, there's 3 premium travel cards right now, and Alaska is making a pretty interesting stand where they're pretty much telling you to forget the big 3, it's just Big Me. They also do have an early access list where you can get extra points, but you do need to pre-register by end of year. Outside of the card side, I'm kind of thinking how much value this might drive for Alaska. For example, Delta makes a ton of money from the partnership of American Express, and a lot of this is due to their cards and miles. If anything, this has been one of their secret weapons for how well their stock has done. In Q2 of 2024, Delta earned $1.9 billion from Amex. It's pretty much a moneymaker that helps them de-risk from other stuff. Looking at other programs like United, it's a similar money printer. Back in 2019, United sold $5.3 billion in miles that year. This accounted for 12% of their total revenue for the whole company, and the program itself is worth $22 billion. Pretty good profit margins too at 34%, especially so if you compare it to their overall profit margin of just 11.6%. For Alaska, they're going to make more money from the annual fee, selling miles, and also the interchange fees. With that, we have seen the stock shoot up in the last 5 days by almost 15%. Funny enough, American, United, and Delta dropped by upwards of 5% during the same period. Sizing obviously matters. Alaska's market cap is about $8 billion. Delta is the whale of the bunch at almost $40 billion. United's a tad bit smaller at $31 billion, and American is only at $11 billion. But to be fair, American does have a lot of other operational and execution issues on the business side. But yeah, definitely should get interesting on the investing side. On the note of investing, if you're looking for a new brokerage, consider Moomoo. They're currently offering 8.1% APY on uninvested cash and up to 15 free stocks. You're going to get 5 free stocks for depositing $100 and 10 additional stocks for depositing $1,000. This current offer ends March 31st, 2025. They also do have a lot of advanced features for traders and short-term investors. Reminder, Moomoo is a registered brokerage regulated by FINRA, and they are a direct member in good standing with SIPC. Worst case, you're getting free stocks for trying something. Best case, you like it. For the promotion, you need to keep assets in the account for 60 days. Tons of time to give it a test drive. If you're interested, go to askxabi.com/Moomoo or use the link down below. Beyond the new card, they're also using Seattle as a global gateway. So they're adding a ton of new routes. This is pretty much right after the acquisition of Hawaiian Airlines, so they are moving pretty fast. It very much feels like they're trying to make a big 3 into a big 4 for long-haul US airlines. I guess JetBlue does it as well, but I feel like not as well. Starting October 2025, they're going to start flying from Seattle to Seoul Incheon. I'm all for speed and growing fast, and it makes a ton of sense. By 2030, they're looking to add 12 non-stop long-haul routes. Also, I didn't know this, but apparently Seattle is a lot closer to a lot of places than San Francisco and Los Angeles. This includes Tokyo and Seoul, but also Bangkok, Manila, Delhi, and Vietnam. If you're going to Europe, then London, Paris, and Rome are also closer. In the past, a lot of people that were based in Seattle were willing to reposition to Vancouver, San Francisco, or Los Angeles, and they don't need to do that anymore. Or I guess might not in the long term, but depends on where they want to go. This entire push towards Asia also hurts Delta and United the most. United has SFO as a hub, and this brings more competition. Delta, though, has it a lot worse because they're also fighting Alaska in Seattle. For SEA, Alaska has almost a 50% market share, while Delta has close to 20%. To be fair, Delta still has a foothold in LAX with almost 20%, but if the flight is faster, then it's going to get interesting. Especially for people in the Midwest or the middle of the US that are picking between routes to reposition. Overall, though, it should get more interesting for cards and also airlines, and more competition is better. On that note, if you do want to learn about cards and you want to support the channel, we do have links on our website, askxabi.com, and also down below in the description box. Make sure the links are competitive, but otherwise, it is a huge way to support the channel, so thank you in advance. If you made it to this point, leave a bear emoji in the comments down below, and I'll try to heart it and also respond. 3 questions. Number 1, what are your thoughts on the new card? Number 2, would you get it? And number 3, can Alaska compete internationally? Let me know and everyone else know in the comments down below. Big favorite, thumbs up, share this, subscribe, but otherwise hope you liked it. See you next time.